For decades, people have been asking Victorinox to have a build-your-own Swiss Army knife. That has been like a holy grail. It's why there are so many custom makers out there. And up until now, at least, that is not an option. But it looks like someone's stepping in to fill the gap. Now, I've talked a little bit about the modular multi-tool called the Maxlvledc, and today we're going to talk about a prototype that's going to make that into a pocket knife. So Victorinox has been owning this pocket knife game for a very long time. They make literally millions of Swiss Army knives every year, and there hasn't really been anything that even comes close when it comes to quality and just overall tool density and just everything that they bring to the market, along with a very inexpensive price tag. But the demand of wanting to build your own is something that is incredibly enticing, and I think will definitely get a lot of interest for a lot of different markets for a lot of different reasons. And this is our first look at a prototype that they are going to be offering. Now, this is not the production model. So depending on when you're seeing this video, there might be a completely new iteration of this concept. But it is a cool concept, and we knew it had to happen once the Maxlvledc was announced, right? That was just a natural progression from plier-based multi-tool to pocket knife. It just makes a lot of sense. Now, if you are not familiar with what this is, I've made a ton of videos on it already. There are also other content creators making videos on them now. It is a modular plier-based multi-tool system. You buy the handle and then you buy the tools that you want. And there are a lot of different options, some of which are not yet out. These prototypes I talked about in yesterday's video, and I'll leave a link to that down below. Okay, so coming back to this pocket knife setup, there are 4 total slots for this setup. So each one of these implements is 2 millimeters thick, which allows the tool to hold up to 4. So the way we unlock this is we push this all the way out. It pushes this button all the way back, and this will take up to 4. And I'll just go ahead and pick 4 random ones here so you can see how it works. You push it in past the 180, close it, and then once that is no longer disengaged, you actually have a tool ready to rock. This also has a lock that keeps the tools from falling out. A really nice little feature, but even without it, it still holds pretty well. It's just not ideal. You can actually tighten it up if you want to, but then you would have trouble deploying it. Now, one of the cool things about this is you're actually going to be able to press up and it will deploy. Now, this is being a prototype. It doesn't quite settle perfectly. There's something kind of catching on there. I'm sure they will fix it before they do the production run, though. You can there's catching on something in there. Anyway, they'll have to fix that for sure. So this is what they had in mind, right? So you could have like a blade and then you could have a couple of small implements. Here's my thoughts on this, because remember, this is just a prototype. For one thing, the pocket clip here is designed to screw into this piece of plastic. And because that plastic is there, you can only have a single long implement in this small pocket knife, which is a big problem because there are just so many good long implements. We have a diamond file, we have a really good scissor, we have a saw, which you saw here, and we have both a straight and serrated blade. So it feels like this is still a half-baked concept until we can actually get 4 long implements. And for more than that, this should be a pocket clip that sits on top of and screws into these small pieces of steel, and that way you can flip the pocket clip around whenever you need to. That's what I believe should happen. And I think there's an illustration I can make to show you what the potential of a pocket knife version could be. And I went ahead and I took apart another Maxlvledc. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, do not do this, okay? I didn't realize what I was getting into when I did it. Remember that I've done this a lot, and so I wasn't particularly scared, but we have a lot of little components here to play around with. This is a surprisingly sophisticated multi-tool, more than I could have imagined. There's little washers that seat themselves perfectly into the plier head. There's little springs that I lost when adjusting the thing. Just trust me when I say, do not take on this task unless you are ready to be a little frustrated. So take your time. But the whole concept was to make this. This is basically 1/2 of the Roxxon Flex. And unlike the prototype, where's the prototype? Over here, this actually has a total of 5 slots, which 5, in my opinion, is better than 4. It allows us to have more variety in tools. And the way I have set this up, let me take all these out, close this up. Well, the way I've set this up, you can have a grand total of 5 long implements. And let's go ahead and load those apps. So once again, we unlock the frame and we'll start with our blade. The blade goes best in that last slot there, over here, where the little dip is. And then we'll go ahead and load up the rest of it. So here's the diamond file. This one is a little bit warped, so it does rub on the blade a little bit. We'll put in the scissor. And I still have room for one more long implement. We'll put in the comb. Why not? Boom. Now, oh, you know what? The comb is, what is going on here? Oh, the comb is a prototype. I forgot. It doesn't have the proper cutout. Aha. Yeah, let me just take a small implement here so you can see what I'm talking about. So there is 5 right there in a nice little pocket knife form. And once again, push up to deploy, and actually it's a little bit tough because of that diamond file kind of rubbing up against the blade, but it is doable. All of those will fan out. Select the one I want, right? Grab, say, the saw, close everything else, locks in place, and there I go. I have my little pocket knife. Now, the way I figure it is it's most likely they are going to release this tool at $20. That seems about the right number. It's literally half the cost of the handle part of the Roxxon Flex, which is just the frame. This thing right here is $40. So I can't imagine this being more than 20 bucks. Why would I want to get this when I can get this, right? When I could have this, but also now I have a spare plier head if for whatever reason the original breaks, right? I have a spare frame if I need to. Spare pivots, spare locking tabs. You know, I have essentially a whole bunch of spare components that I can utilize on top of it. And for me, the extra, let's say $20 is well worth it to get more in my frame, while also just having a better handle also. Yeah, there's also that. It's also a little bit longer, which I kind of like. So my recommendation to Roxxon, and back me up, guys, is they should literally take the Roxxon Flex frame, cut out the little section here, which I've done with a Dremel tool, to allow 4 implements. And here's what's really cool. There is this fancy little ball detent setup for the plier head. I've never seen this before, but it's a really clever idea. That is probably a good way to incorporate maybe a 1/4 inch bit driver. I mean, it's going to be difficult if you're using 4 long implements like you see here, but maybe something could be put in this spot. I don't know what, but you can see starting with just the frame that you already have, I think this is a better platform than what we're seeing in the prototype. And even if this doesn't come out immediately, maybe it takes some time to come out, I think this is a very simple and easy solution to having a pocket knife that is completely modular. I'm sorry, Roxxon. I didn't mean to pick on you with the prototype, but this, I wanted to definitely illustrate that this is a better starting point than this is, right? 5 long implements probably you could fit in there, no problem. 4, and you can only fit 1 long implement. You get my point. Like I think I like the size and I like the weight. I like the plastic setup because it does make it a lot lighter. But it's not enough of a reason for me not to just make this modification and have all the spare components I need for my Roxxon Flex. And then I can swap between them when I don't want to have the pliers and I just want a small pocket knife. Well, there you go. The other thing I'm going to say, they got to get on making a one-handed blade. as quickly as humanly possible. It's really the only thing missing from this setup at this point. That's all I really want to talk about today. I wanted to show you guys this prototype and let you know they are in fact going to make something similar to a modular Swiss Army knife. And I think that's going to be a big deal. As always, thank you guys so much for your time, and we'll talk again soon.